Do you tell your children not to play with their food? Turns out it might be a good way to try new things.
Dr. Dina Rose is a sociologist and self-described feeding expert who works with parents and pediatricians on different ways to get your children to eat and enjoy healthy foods.
Well, Dr. Rose is also the author of It's Not About the Broccoli, 3 Habits to Teach Your Kids for a Lifetime of Healthy Eating. She joins us live in studio this morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. Thank you. Quite the spread you brought here. Yesterday, we teased this segment a little bit with these Explorer kits. Tell us about this. You want these at the dinner table?
Well, I think it's the best thing to do is to separate eating and exploring. You know, you want your kids to eat the broccoli, you want them to eat the asparagus, and they don't, right? Because there's a lot of pressure. And they don't taste as good as the so-called child-friendly foods, which are loaded with
macaroni
sugar, salt,
and cheese, chicken nuggets, ketchup.
Exactly.
Yes.
But the biggest reason is that exploring new foods can be really scary, right? I mean, especially for some kids. And to you and me, like a tomato is just a tomato, but to kids, it might be like this. These are edible worms. Want one?
I'm good.
I will pass. I'll say I think my children have actually eaten those because we're lucky to have been in school programs that were very hands-on and very adventurous when it came to food. And catching them early, I think, is a key. Would you agree?
Yes, and teaching them the skills that they need to feel comfortable as an explorer. So what I really suggest is that we take exploring away from eating. So you know that just taste it, and if you don't like it, you don't have to eat it, is still a lot of pressure. Imagine if I said that to you about these
Right. We'd be
worms.
sitting here until dinner time, Doctor.
I want to ask you, how did my kids grow to love sugar so much? Because we try to limit it, but is it once they have a taste of it, they love it? Is that it?
Some foods are just easy to like, and other foods take a little bit more practice, a little bit more exposure, and it really is what they get used to tasting. That's how Indian kids end up liking Indian food, and American kids end up liking hot dogs, right? So when we want to move them to vegetables, the thing that we want to do is teach them how to be explorers in general. So we can start with something that they already are familiar with, like pretzels, right? So one thing we can do is, you know, we can take the magnifying glass and we can look at the salt and see what that looks like, or more importantly, do a crisp. What does it sound like? You know, that's something that most kids haven't really thought about. And then we can move on to things like tomatoes and asparagus. So the key is that it has to be a very, very small sample, about a pea-sized sample, so that kids don't get intimidated. Because usually what we do, right, is plop a big serving on the
here you
plate
go. Eat.
and then say, or we say just taste it, and if you don't like it, you don't have to eat it, but it implies like a lot of food. So the kit has these really small containers so that you can really see that it has to be small. So here I've taken the tomato and I've given you 3 different ways of looking at it. So we can pick it up with the tweezers if we want to and have a look, right, or a smell. We can use the dropper here to try and squeeze up some of the juice, and maybe we want to taste it. Something that's really interesting to kids and unusual. And when you think about, we started off with the pretzel and the salt. We've got little seeds here too, so we can look at those and compare them. We know that this is crispy, but we can touch that and see whether it's squishy. And then we eventually can move on to the asparagus. But one of the things I want to show you that I did here is I cut it in a couple of different ways, because kids don't automatically know what is inside.
What part of that do I eat?
That asparagus.
Right.
And not only that, again, let's go back to the weird thing. I mean, if we were going to eat these, probably you'd have a few questions for me, like,
Right.
what does it taste like?
Right.
Or,
will it hurt me? Are you sure it's okay?
am I gonna gag?
Right.
So what I see here, Dr. Rose, too, in watching you tell us about this, is patience from parents, to me, because you're going to have to invest time, because some parents, you know, maybe just throw it on the table, this is what you have tonight, you know, but maybe we as parents, you know, and I'm guilty of it, need to do a better job of sitting down and taking time to explain
Yes.
why Cheetos is not better than asparagus.
Well, the health argument, surprisingly, is not going to get you very far, because culturally we have this idea in our society that healthy food is good for you, therefore it doesn't taste very good.
Right.
So stay away from the you should eat this because it's healthy, but we should move towards you should eat this because it actually tastes good.
I have a daughter who wants to grow taller. So, I mean, you know, she wants to be a big girl and she wants to grow taller. So sometimes we tell her, no, if you drink your milk, this will lead to, you know, you getting the nutrition you need to grow taller. Does that work all the time? Or?
Well, it can work sometimes, but it's much more effective to start giving kids a database of food facts so that when they look at something, they can start putting it into their head and say like, oh, I see, that looks like it's going to be crunchy, so I have more courage to taste it. That's the whole point. Giving them the knowledge that we as adults already come to. And the thing is that it can be very difficult for kids to know, or adults to even know. And so you say like, the kit comes with all these words, so your vocabulary and the colors, so that you have something to move beyond. This is the biggest problem parents have, because they are all full of, do you like it?
Right.
But do you like it puts it in a thumbs up, thumbs down category. And you know those studies that say you need to have like 12 or 14 exposures, which might as well be like a million.
Right.
Because parents give up after 5. In those studies, the people are not giving the kids big servings. In one study, they gave the kids 1/32 of a tomato. So imagine taking imagine taking this tomato and cutting it into 32 pieces. So it's very small and non-intimidating. That's the whole point.
Okay, Dr. Dina Rose, it's not about the broccoli.
Want one?
I should, but I don't think I
had a big
will.
breakfast, doctor.
I will take that big fat stack of asparagus. So thank you so much for joining us. I love the mission. Dr. Dina Rose, it's not about the broccoli. Thanks for joining us. We will be right back. I will take the asparagus. I love it. I love it.
Last night I said, I'll give you a scoop of ice cream if you eat this.
You can't trade. No.
The incentive, right?
No.
That's writing.
Yeah.